coming and asking the community for tips on where to be and people to talk. I think when we get together and help each other out, we can do so much more. And today I'm here to talk about moments. And first I was thinking like, ooh, how do I do this? Where do I go? I am an experienced designer. But from the beginning I trained as a biologist, and people often ask me when they hear that my formal training is in biology, they ask, experience design? What is it that you do? And for me, when you asked me about this theme, about moments, I realized that is exactly what I do. I believe in the power of us meeting, and I believe in the power of the moment. And I also truly believe there's a craft to it. Often we have amazing moments. We stumble upon the situations, it feel like, where you had that amazing night, you had the perfect dinner in the beautiful company, and you walk home and the light is amazing, and you fall asleep, and when you wake up, you're just smiling when you wake up because you had an amazing night. Or, sadly, also the other way around, those hard times in your life where you're tested. You live through things that are so painful you never thought you would have to experience them. But once you come out of the other side of the pain, you realize that you are stronger and better for it. And those painful moments, I doubt we'd ever choose fully and freely. And they seem random. And some of them, yeah, they are. But you can make it a craft. You can be an experienced designer. You can make sure that a particular moment or a particular meeting or a particular session is what you need it to be in that context, where you strive to deliver an experience, leaving your participants walking out of there with a certain emotion, with a feeling, with a knowledge that you want them to have. And you can help them to plan for an action. You can't force anybody to do anything, but you can nudge them to be prepared to do something that is good for this context. And this is what I do today. And when I was reading up on this and like preparing for it, I found this amazing. And I'm going to get this out because I have my aid here. That, speaking of moments, I mean, life is just a string of moments when we come down to it. And the problem is that the way you look at them decides how you put your narrative about your life together. And right now we are living in interesting times, if I put it diplomatically. We are living, Stella is going to be my laughing relief here again, I think. But we are living in times when we are not agreeing on the story we're going to tell about the world. We are not in agreement of what world we are living in, and the stories we are telling each other are so different that we stand back with a feeling of, what is this? On both sides, if we're going to say that we're just two sides, I think we might be more, but it's so polarized, and all of us are feeling that the other people are idiots because they don't understand our story. And yet we're just here with a string of moments. And if you look at the neuropsychologists, they know that your brain is a Velcro for the negative and a Teflon for the positive. That means that negative experiences, negative moments will stick with you very easily. That's why you are much faster to tell people about that really bad restaurant experience you had. Don't go there. The service was atrocious, the food was terrible once it finally arrived. Don't go there. You will tell this many more times than you will about that amazing experience. It needs to be truly amazing for you to pass it on, because we are hardwired that way. You can't help it. It's because you're an ape. And this is the worst insult I'm going to give you today, but you are an ape. You are a primate. We lost the fur, but we are not very much more sophisticated when it comes to finding our basic needs, sadly. So this us having an affinity to stick to the negative, it's for your own survival. It's good for us because it keeps us alive. In these times, we need to strive to be more of the cultural beings we are than the ape that we are. Because we need to learn to train ourselves to stick with the good moments. And here is one help I will give you with you. I'm aiming to share with you a number of tools today, and this is my first one. In the science of happiness, you need to help yourself remember, because your body and your basic parts of your brain won't help you remember the good moments. So, Kurt Vonnegut said that his uncle said this. Please, when you have a good moment, in it or afterwards, do this. I urge you to please notice when you are happy and exclaim or murmur or think at some point, if this isn't nice, I don't know what is. So, to help you overcome your body wired for survival, help yourself by remembering the happy points, even the small. Waking up and the sun is shining through your window for once in Malmö, it's worth doing this over, right? Or happily looking out on the snow falling, ignoring all the other stuff that's going to happen in Malmö afterwards, but exclaiming, to take it in and to make it stick with you. It's going to change how you perceive the world and how safe you feel in the world and which stories you tell about your world. And this is important because you are hardwired to tell stories. So, and on the biological being, I want to share something that I think is really crucial, and that is at the foundation of how we at our company, Britza Maxima, design events. We design them with respect for the cultural being and for the biological being. And the biological being isn't always what we think it is. We have a very strong miscomprehension on the theories of Darwin. And he has been misquoted. It is not about the survival of the strongest. It never was. It is about the survival of the fittest. And fit, when we are biologists, means the best adapted to a specific environment and need. That isn't necessarily strong. That is also being tiny, being extremely agile, being very clever, having a huge brain and opposite thumbs and a vocal cord making noises. That can also be the best adaptation, meaning making us the fittest. It was never about being strong. And being alone is not strong when you are the monkey, the ape that we are. And James Cone and his team, they have looked at the social baseline theory. And what does it say? Well, basically, we thought for ages that being alone makes us rest the most. When you are completely alone and without stimulus, your brain and body goes down into the most relaxing mode it can be. This is not true for you, because you are a flock animal. You are evolved to live in a flock with people around you. So for human beings, your most restful moment is when you are surrounded by your safe flock. Not just anybody, but the people that you are close to and that you love, that you feel safe with. When you have them around you, your body will rest better than if you are alone in your own bedroom with all the shutters shut and the lights off with your people around you. Because your brain is designed to solve problems in a group. And you know that you solve them better. You know on a basic level that you solve them better with your people around you because you're not alone in having to solve whatever you're facing. So social baseline theory means that you do better in a group of people you trust. And that I find extremely comforting in these days. You are hardwired for it, right? So, these are just two brief facts on what we use when we talk about experience design. So, you have to understand humans to design experience for them. Both as the primate that we are to meet our basic needs, also those that might be a little bit unusual compared to what we thought they were. But you also have to understand their culture and their norms. And I'm going to take you through, we're not going to have time to do the full process, but I'm going to take you through a few steps of some of the tools in the toolbox that we use. And first, I want to share with you one of my favorite quotes also. Because even though I'm going to show you a few tools for how you can make sure an experience delivers more of what you want, the great experiences always leave room for the unexpected. And that you cannot plan for. But you can enable, you can set the scene to make sure people are their very best, whatever that is in that setting. And then put your faith in them and trust them and see what's going to come out. It's usually more amazing and marvelous than you ever think was possible, if you have the faith. to leave people do their thing. So now I want you to think for yourself for a moment of a really, truly great or terrible experience. A moment that stuck with you. It can be that visit to the restaurant, it can be the wedding day, it can be whatever. Some of those questions are more for the physicality of it, but think of an experience, think it through, and I want you to focus also on the emotional impact. Take 30 seconds, a minute, to think about one, and if you need help to analyze it in your brain, look at these questions. Affordances is a tricky word, but that is, what possible actions did I have physically or emotionally in that experience? So, find your experience and mull it over. All right. I'd like you to turn to a neighbor, the neighbor you know the least, or behind you or in front of you, and share, how did you feel? And you don't have to share the details, but just tell them of the experience you were thinking of and how did you feel in it. Go ahead. Tell each other. I love it that you are really, really hard to quiet down. Well, keep on talking a bit until your attention is back with me. It's amazing the way you get talking, and you're really active, and I can see on you how you talk and engage in this. And what I want you to have with you from this is that you are the professional. With experience design, you are also a professional. It is an intuitive knowledge that you have because you know how you feel when it's good, and you know how it feels when it's bad. And when you start analyzing why you're feeling good or bad and how that happened, you can start changing the circumstances leading there if you are in charge of meeting and events like I am, which is what we do. But you know. So this is not something that is really extremely difficult. It's oftentimes it's like, go to yourself and consider, was that good? Did that feel good to me? No, okay, I'm never going to do that to other people again. Did this feel good to me? Awesome, I'm going to steal this idea and I'm going to use it. So you are the professional. You know a good moment from a bad one. And I'm actually here. The biologist ended up here. It's a question I didn't answer before because when I started working in Jamaica, in Kingston, protecting wildlife. I worked protecting biodiversity in the Caribbean Sea. And I realized living in the third world in a city like Kingston that the only problem our wildlife, all our organisms have is that they share the world with us because we are the problem right now. And we make really bad choices when we don't have the space to make good ones. So especially when you're poor and pressed, you are going to make really bad choices. So I realized I needed to go into communication and education. And for me, designing experiences is really the best way to affect people because we react mostly, not mostly, we react the strongest with emotions in two mediums of communication. Film, and you see that in your social media today, how many film clips there are. There's a reason for that, because you react to them. Events, when we meet person to person, we react with our emotions because we cannot help to. We are hardwired for social interaction because we are a social flock animal, right? So that's how I ended up here. And the most important thing now is, of course, what is it we want that experience to be? You can't design anything if you don't know where you're heading. Why are we doing the thing we're doing, whatever it is? What is the purpose? What is the intent? Where is it supposed to deliver us? Is it a networking session like this? Well, if we're in Scandinavia, now you're not all Scandinavians here, but we are not the best at mingling. We are not hyper-social at 7 o'clock in the morning. We might need a little nudge. You know. So can we design that? Yes, we can. We can help you be more social than you normally are by giving you methods for that. We can push you in different ways. Coffee is amazing. You did know, no, but it's amazing in more ways than you realize. I mean, I think there's a reason why Sweden and Finland drink so much coffee because we're so asocial. When you hold a cup of coffee, If I were to hold my cup of coffee standing next to you here, my body will get the oxytocin release in the body, which makes me feel really good, like I'm being touched or hugged. And because my body is stupid, it cannot separate the coffee mug from her there standing close to me. So I'll think it's you. So when we stand next to each other to the coffee machine, drinking coffee, both holding hands, holding cups, it's like we're holding hands. That was a Freudian slip if I ever had one. It is exactly like if we were hugging or holding hands. So the coffee break is more vital than you might believe and understand before. Now you know. So do not cut out the coffee, especially not around here if you want people to be social. You understand how desperately important it is. So what is the purpose? What do you need it to deliver? If it's a conference, well, what's the purpose of the conference? And sometimes even the people planning don't know. I've had clients come to me, public sector, you know, they have a mission, they get their money no matter what they deliver, almost. And they are very fond of reports and statements. Rebecka, we're going to do this really important day, and we're going to do it with a lot of speakers and stuff. All right, so, but why? Yeah, well, you know, we just released this new public report on how we need to deal with this situation in this specific field. You're having a conference about a public paper. Yeah. No, you can't do that. It's impossible. What was the purpose? Well, these people, they really were passionate about the field that they were working in. They were environmental. They needed people to engage with those facts that they had. And they had just taken out a set of actions that people could engage with because they were only monitoring the situation. They couldn't do anything about changing the facts that they kept taking in, the statistics. We can. So they needed a conference to enable people to act and make them passionate about acting in the environmental situation. Now the conference about publishing a public paper and the conference on making you and I ambassadors and fighters for this cause are two totally different events, correct? And we need to design them and make them function very differently. Problem is we know how to make a conference, so we tend to go by it, step by step, the normal way. If you don't set your compass straight to the goal you need to reach, you're not going to change anything. And this is the very first step, and I encourage you, even if it's just a regular Monday meeting you're going to do, what is it needs to achieve for you to have it be a success, to be a good one? Why are you having that thing, that meeting, that party, that session, that whatever? What is the purpose? Next thing to help you deliver on an experience is this. This is from interaction design, and that I hate the gaming and app industry for taking that term away from us. They stole it because they made interaction be about this. My interaction with the screen. It's of course the most important interaction we're enabling in is this, you and I, us talking. So I'm calling myself an experience designer because they stole interaction designer and made it mean something else. For all of you who are interaction designers in here, I know I've seen a few, no worries. But so we are basically analog interaction designers. That's what you are when you're an experience designer. And you need to focus on your participant. I don't care what you call your people you are engaging with. I don't care if you call them customers, citizens, audience, visitors. I don't care. Also, inside your workspace. So there can be your colleagues, they can be your coworkers. It doesn't matter. Whenever you work with experience design, I want you to change your word. Because words are very important. I just told you before how much the narrative matters, right? To participants. They are your participants. I have worked a lot with sustainability, and I still believe that the biggest resource that we are squandering the most is your time, your competence, and your presence. So to have 2 days of a conference and make people sit quietly and stare at the screen and each other's neck, that's sacrilegious. Imagine what we can do if you have faith in us and let us work together, right? If you have information to push on us, send us an email. Send us a note. Give us a book. This is for doing stuff, right? So focus on the participant and call them a participant and ask yourself, when you're done with your thing, what do they need to feel? What do they need to know? And what do they need to be prepared to do? In the example I took, this public agency that needed to engage the community to work with them. Well, what did they want them to feel? Not the apathy of, oh my Lord, the world is ending. That could not happen, because that is the worst thing to have us act. No. They needed to feel with a fiery passion that there is something to do and it's urgent to do it now. But a positive call to action, a sense that I can do something and I need to do it now. That was what the goal was, to make people feel when they left the event, right? What did they need to know? Well, exactly what paths of actions are there, that there are more people doing things and that you can join them, and that these are the actions that actually help and make a difference. Because if you don't have the knowledge of what to do, it's really hard to act, right? And what did they want them to do? Well, obviously go out and act. You can't force them, but hopefully this nudged them further along to be active in this environmental field that they were working with. So together with the why are we doing that? What is the purpose of this? And with these questions, you can come a really, really far way. And I realize I would love to draw on something now, but that's really hard now, right? Can it be sort of? Perfect. I'll talk a little, and then there will be a magically appearing drawing something. Right. Wrong way. Sorry. Right. So basically, you sit down and you need to analyze your planning, the event, the thing, the meeting, the session. Even if it's your birthday dinner or parties, we do design a lot of parties as well. It's fun. There you can go a bit more wild and crazy than you can with the public agency publishing their new report. What is the purpose and what is it supposed to give your participants? These two questions boil it down, exactly what I said before. It's a summary. There we go. And then you can do this, and I'll show you shortly. A pen coming as well. Beautiful. All right. No, I'll continue then. It's fine. Pen coming. I'll give you a little bit more theory, and then I'll show you the thing. So, magic circle. How many has heard this terminology? Who have heard about the magic circle? Raise your arms fully so I can see you. It's a good way. You get some blood. I mean, a few. And a few know me already, so it's kind of cheating with Frida, I think. Yeah. The magic circle. This is also a tool, and I'll show you exactly how I use it shortly when I have a pen over there. The magic circle we use as a design tool. What is it? It's a terminology that comes from anthropology from the beginning. It's when we looked at, people who are not like us doing their religious rites. We said that we spoke about it as them going into a magic circle. It was most commonly used when we have threshold states in our lives. For example, when people are being born, when people become adults, when people bond into pairs, when people pass away. So like the major stages in life that transforms you. And there is a pen now. Awesome. Thank you. And the important thing is this can be a physical space, it can be more a mental space. I'll give you an example. The wedding is one of those that we still use today. It's pretty amazing, actually, if you think about it. We have agreed upon, as society, and it's very widespread, that before the actual wedding rite, I might be with my partner, and we might be a legit couple, especially here in Scandinavia. We are fairly legit, even though we're not married. We step into the courthouse or the church. I'll pick the church because it's more fun, because then we get to have spells and wizards as well. So we step into the church together. And the priest have to say the correct words, the spell, about us committing to each other, and we have to answer at the correct time. If you say this the wrong way, it doesn't stick. I've been to a wedding ceremony where the priest had to restart because they said the wrong thing. It doesn't stick. Seriously. So the spell has to be said correctly, otherwise it doesn't take. You step out again, and all of a sudden many things are hugely different, just because we said so. For example, if I as a woman were to marry a man and have a child by him, now, because we're married, it's automatically presumed in Swedish law that he is the father of my children. Before, when we were just partners and living together, we will both have to go to an office to sign for the fathership for him. Because just living together without the magic spell does not assure us that he is the father of my baby. This is just made up. You see it, right? What else happens? Well, we can inherit each other in a different way. The law regarding how we split our home, if we should split up, becomes very different. Society views us differently. I mean, here in Scandinavia, again, we could always go traveling together and stay in hotels together around here. But some places, you need to be married to sleep in the same room together when you travel, right? So it's easier for us now to book hotel rooms in certain parts of the world, etc., etc. In the view of the family, we've now promised we'll be together in a stronger way, and all families are bonded. We put a lot of things happening on this right. And it's all a story we made up to say that when we do this, this is what it means. Right? Hugely intriguing. Another magic circle, because now we're moving into where this word or this phrase is used the most, and that's in game design these days. They use it a lot. But one other magic circle that doesn't have to be this formal as the wedding rite that I just described, that is play. Kids know perfectly well that when they sit there, they negotiate rules, they make up their own worlds, they are discussing and playing back and forth. And when us parents call them and say, come in, it's time to eat, they step out, away from their magic circle of play and make-believe, and they know they have stepped back into the realm of us adults ruling their world. We are gods in their world, and now they're back in our realm, right? If you don't have a person with some sort of neurophysiological dysfunction, they will perfectly well know the change of this state. They have no problem discerning this. This is also something I would like to say about all this hysteria. I've lived through the hysteria of video violence, LARP scare in the 90s, and now we have the game terror. We're all going to kill each other because we play violent video games. No worries. It's just different platforms of telling stories. And we are very good at consuming stories and knowing when they're real or not. We are really good at that. So don't worry about that. Here's another magic circle. Sports. Really intriguing. Talk about make-believe, right? If we talk about football, an action outside here where I just kick a ball into a net and nobody cares. Put it in an arena, put some people in different color jersey, put a judge, a referee on the field, and all of a sudden this matters to so many people that they're willing to kill over it. Right? Still just make believe. We just said it was supposed to be like that. The physical action doesn't carry that meaning. It's a magic circle. This one, the MMA ring, these girls, if they were to do this outside in the parking lot after the game is over, we would call the police on them for abuse, right? But in there, for those brief minutes, they can pound each other and actually get scores for it. This is a magic circle. All sports are. So, just to summarize and to lead you into what does this have to do with her experience design. So, magic circles can be holy spaces for rituals. Meeting, the meeting person with the club and the agenda, that's a ritual if I ever saw one. Maybe holy too. Maybe we need to make the meetings less holy, I don't know. But the magic circle can most definitely be a holy space for rituals. For certain, a physical or idea-based space of different kinds. Of course, a metaphor. And most importantly for you, and in this context, it can be a temporary state. State where we say that the rules are different, that what is normal by us is not what's normal out there. And the most important thing when you are the experienced designer and use this, you set the rules. You can decide what is normal by you. And as long as you openly share those rules and tell people that here we do this and that, not like there, here we do this and that for this moment of time, be it 1 hour, 5 days. This is how we do it here. You can change it into that temporary state for that period of time. The stronger the behaviors you have in that space normally, we are very good at playing meetings. And we are very good at enacting conferences. We have a strict behavior pattern in how we believe it's supposed to be. There we are going to need to, as experienced designer, push more, help more, because we need to nudge people out of a very set track. But if you do something crazy, can't come up with what that should be. But then it's going to be easier, because if people are already in a place where they don't know what the norm is, they're not going to have a strong norm to stick to. So you need to hack human behavior and think about what experience do you want people to give. So when I plan for experiences, to summarize all of this and give you like the actual physical tool. A lot of people think magic circle sounds too new age, too woo. So I draw a square, makes people feel much happier, you know. And then I put your participant here. Here is your fictive participant. It has no idea what's going to happen. And from the invite up here, you're going to have to set the feeling that guides that person through out here, where you've already decided what it's going to feel, know, and do. And this framework needs to be completely filled with your why, with your purpose. And this needs to be, this is also stronger if you build it with a narrative. It might be completely clear to those participating, or it might be only clear to you. But a narrative on your thing helps you make design decisions on what fits or not, to make sure that this is completely clear. The path for your participant through your thing. Are you with me? Yeah. Normally I take like 3 hours to explain this and you get to work with me, so I have a little bit shorter time. But you need to create that framework with the clear purpose here to help your people do that transformation I said that the magic circle encased. It's not magic if you don't change at least a little. And when we're stuck in routine, when we're doing business as usual, excuse me, no changes happens. So you need to help people move safely, because we people, we like to be safe. Otherwise you're going to trigger our reptile brain, and that's not going to be helpful for you at all. I'm not going to be available to you if you make me feel unsafe, or if any of my basic needs aren't met. If I need food, water, if I need to go to the restroom, if I'm too tired, if there's no oxygen, etc. And if I feel unsafe, I'm not available for whatever magnificent plans you have in store for me. So make sure all that is in place and help me move safely from my comfort zone to that place where the magic happens. That is your job, and that is your responsibility, and it can be done, most importantly. So what are the designable surfaces in this space? Everything. Everything and anything. You don't have to use everything, but you need to make decisions on what you use and what you don't use. The social spaces. How do you enable people to be social? How do you help them be more social in a different way? The physical space. We are physical beings in a room. The physical space affects us much more than you think. How clear is it for me how I can move here? I become unsafe if I don't know where I'm supposed to be going. So help me know my path through your space and help me make it good, beautiful, nice. Like here, it's an amazing room to be in, right? How can you affect the room, and which room do you pick for whatever you're doing? Choose the room well. How is the dramaturgy? I purposely made a meandering thing there. What is the intensity? What is happening? How is the red thread following through? What is the vibe? What is the tone? What is the ambience? You can affect all these things. And we do parties, and sometimes people have come up to us after our party and said, wow, it's so amazing how many nice people were there. It was really good. Like, yes, also. But we also made sure that people could be their nicest people in the space. We helped you by not having your queue in -5 degrees and sleet outside for an hour. Helps so much to have you be a happier, better person when you come in. By welcoming you. You are a flock animal. The monkeys on the mountain are restless and shouting when their flock leader came back and didn't look every single individual in the eye. You can use that. That is the cheapest trick in the book. The leader of the flock, whoever that might be, and stop using those hostesses that you hire. That is foolishness. That's a waste of money if ever I saw one. The flock leader, that is the manager, that is the CEO, the director, that is the leader, needs to stand in the door with his or her team of other leaders and say, hi, welcome. Invite every single one. If you do that, you're going to have a marvelous time. Jill Johnson, you know, the Swedish singer, she told about this on the Swedish soap thing there, Så mycket bättre. She was saying that accidentally she was out in the foyer when the people started coming in, and she started saying hi. And after a while she felt like, oh, I have to say hi to everybody now, all my people coming to my concert, because if I leave it's going to be awkward. So she stood there for like an hour and a half saying hi. Every single person coming to her concert. She kept doing it because the ambience in her hall when she started her concert was so markedly different. She could feel it and touch it. She had said hey to everybody. Every single person had been greeted by her personally and invited into her flock. And it changed everything. It's a basic need. We need to be acknowledged and taken to the group. And that doesn't cost anything either. It's really good. Yes, here's a bunch of questions to bring with you. The slides can come out to those of you who want them, because this is just like... But these are the things to think about when you sit there. And do this meeting before you're planning something quite a way in advance, so you have time to do this properly, this one. And think over it and sleep on it. You are slower than you think. So sleep on it. Your creativity is going to thank you, and your planning is going to thank you. So make sure you have time enough to do this well in advance, to sleep on it and come back to it and work it through again, with help of plenty questions here. Because then you can be in charge of making every moment at least a little bit more magic, and take charge of what you are giving to people. Thank you for listening.